Hello, Renee Flamont here. You guys, I want to talk about this today because this just happened, okay? It's very important that we realize when I say no one understands about the narcissist because they can't believe what you're saying, I really want to make the point here today that they cannot believe what you're saying. I think that when we recount our stories to people, we don't even realize how bad it was because we've enveloped it in our brain. It's tied up with our cognitive dissonance and our trauma bond and our love for them, and we'll slant it any way we can to buy our own narrative, right? Of course. We don't want it to be as bad as we think. We make every excuse possible. We'll go back to the childhood, the poor thing got abandoned. We'll look for anything. The person you're telling, say you're finally at a point, right? And you want to share, you've been keeping secrets. We've all done that. Because you don't talk about the stuff as it's happening because you're embarrassed and you don't want people to then hate the person. Okay, fine. But you've now decided you're going to say something, right? Many of us do that as a kick to make us leave the person. Because once you start telling people, you know what you're going to hear. You know the feedback you're going to get. And you're ready for it. I think it's a good sign when you start to talk about it. Because maybe you're ready to get that feedback. But maybe that's what you need to hear to get you to make a decision to break away. For those of you that have been teetering. I never tell anyone to leave. It's a very personal choice. But when you do go to tell people, I really want to talk about today. They really can't believe us. And it just happened within the last month. I have a girlfriend, and and there's another, and I can't believe what the one girlfriend is telling me that our very nice girlfriend is going through from her, I think from afar, sounds like a narcissist to me. And I get text conversations forwarded to me from this girl, lovely girl, boss in life. She sends me the text of the things this guy's saying, and I'm looking at it, and I can't believe that he's not gone a long time ago. And then I remembered something. If I read my own texts that I received from my narcissist, I wouldn't have believed that I wasn't gone a long time ago from that relationship. So that's what we have to remember. What they do to us, it is unbelievable that we stay. As in not believable. And it doesn't mean that, I don't mean to say they think you're lying. But they think there's got to be something more. What's the reason? Why is she staying then? What's the reason? They don't understand that you're trauma bonded and in this web of dysfunction with this, you know what I mean? They don't understand all that. And even if they do, they're not the person to whom it happened. And unless you go through it, you got to watch what you take from them talking to you because they don't know the experience. So they might off the cuff say, my God, well, you just have to leave. Of course they're going to say that. That's what we should do. That's what we all tell ourselves and others in it. But think about the things that you've had, done to you, or the text you've had sent to you, or a situation or a behavior, and marvel at our own selves. I marvel at what I stayed through. I'm at the point that it's almost funny. It's comical to me. I feel like that was a different girl who did that. Because I think of all the different situations and what a different result they would have now. Well, I wouldn't even be in them because I wouldn't be with him past date 1. That definitely wouldn't have been even a second dater. Isn't that something? Look how far you can come. Going from you're wrapped up in this narcissist for a couple of years total. Now I'm thinking I wouldn't even go on a second date with him. Education and empowerment, babes. Education and empowerment. But so to get back to that, they don't think that you're lying, but they think there's gotta be something more, right? And I heard the back and forth recently. Well, why wouldn't you have just left? I don't understand. He did what? And you didn't pack up right then? I'm confused. They don't believe what we're saying. I think if we all try to remember that, you won't get frustrated. And that's part of why I'm making this video, because it can be frustrating and somebody might be trying to be a good friend, but they are going to advise you to leave. I think sometimes if we're not ready to leave, but we start to talk about it, we're looking for some kind of justification from the other person that you should remain there. Like maybe you have a friend who would say, well, maybe they had a bad day. Or maybe he means that he's going to change. Well, he said he was sorry. He does love you. He called me and told me so. Maybe you should just give him another chance. You don't want to be alone, do you? I mean, you're going to go back out there and find another person and they're going to have problems too. They don't get it. They don't understand the situation that you've been living in and the horror that it is to be entwined with someone disordered like this. Be it you live with them as a partner, you're around them as a family member, involved with them in business, or they're a friend of yours. It is a twisted, horrific place to be. And what punctuates that twistedness is the narcissist, of course, is charming everyone else. So on top of them not believing that this behavior would exist and somebody would stay, they can't imagine that person exhibiting that behavior. They can't believe it. They see a charming, they've gotten to know the person, they've swooned them. Maybe they're starting to smear you. Maybe they've already told the other party that you're crazy. So you're telling someone what's going on. They can't believe it because they think you should have left. The evidence that maybe you are crazy, now they're remembering the narcissist started to smear her and say she's crazy. Well, she's got to be crazy to put up with this. Maybe she is crazy. See how the cycle can happen? It's very delicate when you start deciding to tell other people. And like I said, I recommend it because it brings it into the light. And I think it was Mr. Vatkin. I think it was, I don't want to say in case it wasn't, but it disinfects it. It disinfects it. Bring it into the light. It disinfects, sun disinfects it. Bring it into the light. And once you start telling people, now you have to stay with that person despite another human being knowing, right? That's often why we keep it secret. We're not ready to leave. If you start to talk about your situation out loud and somebody is wincing and reacting, give them a minute, but I want you to look at their reaction as how you should be reacting to your own situation. I'm not saying it'll make you want to leave or get you over the edge. Blah, 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 blah. I told you that's personal if you leave or not. But I want you to look at it with the awe that the person is looking at. I want you to be in disbelief that you are putting up with that. I want you to live in that space. If you choose to stay there, I want you to live in that space. You can't believe you're here. You can't believe you're remaining. I'm trying to elevate your self-worth. You cannot believe somebody would treat you that way. I can't believe I allowed someone to treat me that way. That's what I can't believe. And this is a phenomenal place to land, right here. I can't believe it. And there's no way on God's green earth that that'll ever happen again. Now, you might say, well, Renee, you don't know. You might get entwined. That's right, I might miss one, sure. But like I said last video, the first thing I see, like if you go back and think about, you know, like the first things you saw in your narcissist that seemed off. The first things. There were plenty on the first time I ever met the guy. And now if any of those happened, I would leave, not even finish the date. I'd say, all right, nice to meet you. And I'd be out of there in under an hour. And it's just a matter of education and empowerment. It takes you far. Even if you don't leave, get yourself right inside. Learn everything. Understand it's not you. And understand that you are in a place that you can't leave and they can't believe it. You can't believe it either. You can't believe it either. And often I've seen this too. Well, you know, I mean, he's not always like that. Oh, yeah, yay. What do you want me to say to that? He should never be like that. Think of whatever your example is. Insert it here. There should never be an example of blatant, disrespectful treatment of you by anyone that claims to love you. Period. End of story. Good night, Irene. I live my life that way. I know it's possible. I have people in my life that never, ever do anything. I know it's possible. A healthy love where you both have each other in mind, each other's best interest in mind. You're in a relationship where you're afraid to tell people, and when you are telling people, they're wincing and their blood is boiling for you. That's not a good sign. And that's your evidence that it is indeed as bad as you thought. There's no excusing the behavior. I just want you to own it and understand the place you're sitting. But that doesn't mean you can't internally strengthen yourself, rediscover your worth. And maybe that'll give you the strength that you need to say, you know what? I don't like when you talk to me that way. Or whatever the situation is. Or leave. Or stop spending time with this person that brings you pain every time they're around. Stop going into the lunchroom at work when you know that person's there and they're going to be a pest to you. They're everywhere in life. So just don't engage. But I got off on a tangent because I worry about that. But don't allow yourself to feel bad when they're reacting the way that they are. They really can't believe what you're telling them. I'm telling you what, I really can't believe it either. Or you think of a voicemail they've left you where they've called you every name in the book. Every name in the book. Every name in the book. And then I talk to him after that. I think of that now. Think of that right now. If somebody called me one name, any name. Are you on? I can't believe that. So when I'm reading a text that someone forwards me, shows me what their boyfriend is sending them, it's in me. This is what prompted me to make this video, to say, oh my God, why haven't you left? She knows that this is bad enough that she should leave. That's why she's finally owning it and sending it to someone. So now I know also. It makes her be accountable. Yes, okay, but he treated you this way. But my instinct was to go, what? But you can't. We all have our texts that are disgusting, or a voicemail that was gross, or the way they treated us, fought with us, acted with us, triangulated us, gaslighted us. We all have a million stories, and we stayed. We stayed. So we have to be understanding of each other and realize that you may be telling someone who's never been through the relationship like this. They might have had enough in them to hold it off at the pass and go, yeah, nice try, buddy. I know plenty of women like that. They don't fall for the stuff I did again and again. You know what I mean? And they've not experienced this. And all they can do, they can empathize in that they love me and put me in my feelings, knowing I'm a big mush and how I must have been hurt. But they can't understand. Like, I guess that's more sympathize is what that is, right? They can't understand because they would never have allowed that mistreatment. And you look at these women and you think, wow, they're strong. That's right. They should be that way. Not even one time. Not even one time. We should allow. Going forward. You're stuck in something? I can't say it enough. I'm not trying to make your situation teeter. But going forward, there's many of you that have gotten out. If one person mistreats you, stop. And tell someone else right away and get the big bad reaction right away and get the shock on their faces right away and feel the shock with them right away so you don't give them a second date. Get it out into the open. If somebody treats you well and you want to talk about it, people do that, but nobody, it's like, why? You thought he was cute, you want to give him a second chance, you don't want to tell me what really happened on the date, that an ex-girlfriend showed up, you want to omit that? No. Talk about things that happen. And let's all have a more empathetic ear if someone is confiding in you. Show them your shock and horror, but understand that they're the ones in it. If you're the one in it, God, it's really hard to break out of. And we've all been there. We've all been there. And I feel so bad for this girl, I know. I want to snap her out of it, but I don't want to come across as demanding she does a certain thing or advising her. Do you know what I mean? But I know by somebody sending you text that is evidence of mean things, they're ready. And they're recognizing, yeah, this is bad enough that I need to have this out into the open so people know, and then challenge me to get the heck away from this kind of individual. Nobody wants to see their friends harmed. But just remember, they cannot believe what you're saying to them. And I want you to not believe that it's happening to you. I want you to not be able, I want you to be in awe that you're even still there, even if you do stay. Because that means inside you're raising up a little bit. Be in awe that you're there. Like, I can't believe I put up with this. Say that to yourself at least. Own that. Okay? It's all about your headspace and what do you carry with you on a daily basis. If you exist in a relationship like this and you don't tell anybody, or when you do tell people, they can't believe it, so they say, she chose it, she could leave. I empathize. I know it's not as easy to leave, but try to lean on the people around you, and maybe you can somehow at least get your strength back and understand that they can't believe what you're saying, because what you're saying is indeed unbelievable. To be treated that way and stay anyway is unbelievable. I don't even need to give examples. We've all been treated away and stayed anyway. That's an unbelievable tale. No one's ever going to understand that, especially if they sit in a good, solid place with themselves. I just want to talk about this today, brought up recently, and in the last video I thought about it as well in terms of how people treat you. I hope you guys have a good weekend. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you Monday.